obviously there's tension, there's some fear, there's kind of a gap or a bridge that you have to almost cross to get over some fears of fully being able to tell everything you think you'll be able to tell, or share the stories that will truly impact people on more of an emotional level that they can connect with because they've lived those experiences and those stories themselves. So, in wanting to do this show and almost getting ready and preparing to not just this episode today, but this show in general, there were some hurdles and some gaps that I almost had to fight to get over. And I'm going to discuss some of them and talk about some of them in today's episode. But my core principal message and the core kind of feeling that I want people to get out of the show is that I am one of you. I am someone with stories and lived experiences from the world of psychiatry and mental health that I am truly open about sharing and talking about. That's I don't It's not that I don't fear, but I won't allow the fear to stop me from expressing and telling and sharing the knowledge or just the emotional experiences or traumatic experiences that happened and that I lived. So not allowing the fear to stop me, not completely disregarding that maybe some of those fears are there around telling stories or telling certain things that happen, but ignoring it and not allowing it to stop me from expressing and sharing certain things. So with that being said, I am going to share a story about a time that I went to the psych ward. And this is what I mean by when I wanted to do this show and thought about doing the show. It were these kinds of stories that I was going to tell. I have a lot of documentation. I have a lot of experience. I have multiple hospitalizations. I have years of experience and reflection upon these stories and these times that I can bring to light with a positive message for people to hopefully either just relate to, get some comfort in relating to the message in the story, or potentially get something out of it that they can take with them in their own journeys. But the story I'm going to tell today is the time that I broke myself. The time that I broke my own mind is how I say, or is how I'll present it. Essentially, what was happening is I set out a goal. I set a goal that I was going to start running, and I opened an Instagram channel. I was private, but I started posting videos to this channel that I didn't allow anyone to follow, and I started running every day. And I started running, and I set a goal that, you know what, I'm just going to run. I'm going to run every day, no matter what, no matter the pain, no matter the excuses, and I'm going to see where that takes me. And I wanted to push my limits. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone, get back to being in shape, kind of reignite the fire of being an athlete or striving to achieve certain things. And this was kind of the time that the David Goggins era was really popular. That intensive Jocko Willink, Cameron Haynes, David Goggins, these guys were really being promoted on Joe Rogan, and at the time, I really listened to a lot of Joe Rogan, but this David Goggins message of, I don't want to be swearing and being belligerent and vulgar, but get up, do the push-ups, go running, I don't care what you feel. This type of aggressive, masculine, stop being a bitch, like message to these younger men that, you know, you really gotta disregard your feelings, disregard fear, emotion, and really just put the hammer down, put the work in. And this really resonated with me on a certain level, on a as a competitor, as an athlete, as someone who grew up in sports and competing and wanting to win. That really resonated with me. So with that message at that time, I said, okay, I'm gonna run every day. I took a page out of David Goggins' book and I started running. And one of these days, I think it was leading up to the winter, it's kind of cold out of maybe late autumn, maybe November-ish. And I'm running in my town, and I started yelling. I started yelling out loud, "I'm gonna break you!" And I'm running, and I'm yelling out loud, "I will break you! I will break you!" And I don't know where this is coming from. This is coming from somewhere within. Okay, it's the David Goggins spirit speaking through, maybe the influence of his message. And I'm saying this to myself as I'm running along. I will break you. I will break you. I will break you. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that would, how that would impact the future, what I was setting up, what I was doing. But ultimately, I kept running. I kept running day after day after day, having some body pain, some sleeping issues, whatever. And with kind of my mental health situation and the mental illness factors and symptoms that I have in my life, this was kind of fueling something. This was igniting something, igniting these mania-like feelings and very energetic, unstoppable like emotions that, coupled with the running every day and getting more physically fit and getting more aesthetically pleasing, like when your body looks better and you can look at yourself in the mirror and you feel better, you feel more confident, how you present yourself in the world. All of these started adding together, and it was all combining into one. So as this was happening and as I'm running every day, it got to a point that I stopped. I started barely sleeping. I would sleep for maybe a couple hours, and then I'd wake up and I'd have this intense urge that I need to run. I need to run. So I would wake up after only having slept a few hours, and I just go running in the middle of the night. So I'm constantly running, and in this mania state, it was very interesting. There was a lot of interesting things going on because the mindset, I'll try to explain the mindset. The mindset was almost of, I cannot fail. I cannot fail. I cannot lose. I'm unbreakable. This was the kind of message that I was trying to embed into my mentality, embed into my psyche, into my consciousness, that I cannot fail. I will do what I set out to do no matter what, no matter the pain. Do not stop. You cannot break. And I was telling myself, your mentality, your brain, your mind is where that's what takes you forward. That's what takes you and propels you into the future of achieving and doing the things that you said you would do. It's not the mind that stops, it's the body. It's your body that has the physical limitations. Or was it, maybe it's the other way around. Your body can do so much more. It's your mentality. Once you're in your mind, you say no. That's when the body will say no. So I got the mixed around. It's the other way around. Your body will do and go so much further than you think is possible. It's your mentality that will ultimately stop first. But in these states or nights running, I'd go running in the middle of the night, and I'm very sleep deprived. I'm very almost like agitated and getting aggressive because I'm running so much, I'm working out so much, I'm so passionate and expressive. There was paranoia, a lot of paranoia, especially running in the dark, sleep deprived. These mania state, elevated state is not a good. It's not a good recipe for success. So there was a lot of paranoia as I would run. Maybe I'll probably get into that another time of what was really going on as I was running. But I got to a point probably by around day 50 of running that I had to go to the hospital at that point. I had gotten to a point that I had essentially succeeded. In my mind, I had succeeded in my mission to break myself. In the initial instincts of or instances of when I was running and I'm running down the street saying out loud that I will break you, without truly knowing what that would look like, I had succeeded in that mission. Which is maybe some dark humor, whatever. But at that point, I had to go to the psych ward and go to the hospital and be hospitalized for some of the emotions and things that were happening with not being able to stop myself, essentially, not being able to stabilize my mind or stabilize my sleeping or stabilize my thinking and working out. That I'm working out so much, I'm running so much, um, I'm not able to stop it anymore. That's kind of the mentality that it got to. So I tell this story because I'll tell this story kind of as a way to dip my toes into the pool of being more open and a little more vulnerable to some of the stories of psychiatry and mental health and psych wards and these different things, because with this show, that is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to discuss these things. I'm going to discuss, along with many other things, but a big portion of the show will be these personal stories or these personal past, maybe things that I'm fearful of sharing, fearful of expressing, but I'm going to do it anyways. So that little story there is kind of just a way for me to kind of throw myself in a little bit because I'm fearful of it. I'm fearful of telling those stories, um, partly due to the opinions that can come back the other way from it, the opinions that telling a story and sharing a story similar to that can present, or telling people of experiences in the psych ward or your experiences with mental health issues. Because whether they will truly divulge their true opinions or true feelings towards you when you share some of these things, because if you're around someone, or say in a job interview, and you share, oh, I have prior experiences with going to a psych ward, or I have this mental illness or this mental illness, whether they then have a bias or then they discredit you for some sort of reason without telling you, it's it may be there potentially. It's probably there. It's likely there. So that's where some of the fear of telling some of these stories, or telling some of your mental illness problems or mental health problems, stems from a lot of people, I think, is that you don't truly know how someone will receive that message. You don't truly know what kind of information or knowledge they have of these experiences, what kind of education they have around it, what movie representation, what TV show representation they've seen of different mental health things. So how do they think in their mind that someone with these things look? How crazy or how off the walls are some of these people that go through these things? So at times we're hesitant. We as the mental health people, we can be hesitant to share the stories or share some of the things that have happened, because there's true fear, and I think rightfully so, that you don't know how then someone's going to interact with you or perceive who you are as a person, or potential dangerous person or impulsive person, whatever it may be. But I wanted to share that story, and what I learned, and it's kind of an interesting story. It's kind of just a throwaway story that I thought was funny. I think it's cool, honestly, because I'm running. I'm gonna break you, and then I did. Succeeded. End up in the psych ward, and this was it. This was actually in COVID. It was around 2020, the beginning of COVID, and I ended up in the psych ward. and they put me in PICU, so which is psychiatric intensive care unit, because they had to compartmentalize. They had to keep people segregated with the COVID protocols. So I ended up in this isolated sect of the hospital that I was alone in this back corridor by myself. So it's like I'm during COVID, restriction lockdowns, in your house, no isolation. Then I'm in the hospital, in the intensive care unit, isolation. So it's kind of interesting. It's funny. But what's interesting about that specific time in the hospital is that because there was no one else in the hospital or like really on the floor, I had a speaker. I was just blasting music. They kind of let me do whatever I wanted. They were really cool about it because there was really no one around. So yeah, I blasted music, just work out, do yoga, do push-ups, kind of do my own thing. The time I was in there, till finally got the mania, got the David Goggins spirit out of me of pushing forward and pushing through any pain, any discomfort, any mental obstacles, no matter what, till that dissipated a little bit, that I was more of a stable footing, then I could re-enter the world as a normal citizen again, you could say.